Good afternoon everyone. Today we'll move on to the next module, that is the module 4. So that is uses a concept of the dynamic programming. So already I told you many times what are these techniques and all. Divide and conquer will divide the problem into the smaller instances and solve the individual sub problems, and after that one it will combine the solution for the sub problem. Decrease and conquer will decrease the size of the problem. And greedy technique, each iteration one input will be considered and try to obtain the optimal solution. So that is greedy technique. What is dynamic programming technique here is, in case of a dynamic programming technique, this is a given problem of size n. I'll take a smaller instances of the sub problem. I am not dividing, I am not decreasing. I'll take one small instance of sub problem, one more small instance of sub problem, like that. So initially I'll take a smaller instance of sub problem. Suppose if I am having any graph problem like this, some graph is there, then what I'll do, what is the size of the problem here? What is your n? N is nothing but the 4. What is that 4 indicate? It indicates the nodes. It indicates the vertices are the nodes. How many vertices are there? So 4 vertices are there. Okay. So that is your n. So what is the meaning of that? I'll take a smaller instance of this problem. Means I'll start with a one node. I'll start with a one node, solve the problem and store its result in some table. Okay, take one smaller instance of your problem, solve the problem, given problem, and store its result in some table, and use this table to solve the next instance of the subproblem. Means use this table in order to solve the next instance, that is the node 2. Again store its result in some table and use this table when I am considering the next node of the given problem. Again when I'll take this one, again solve the same problem, store its result. Now use it for when I'll consider the next subproblem. That is how your dynamic programming concept will work. Here we are not dividing the problem. What I am not dividing here when I am having 4 nodes, divide it into 2, divide it into 4, divide it into 8. I am not dividing like that. What we are doing here, for a given problem, I'll take a smaller instance of the problem. When 4 nodes are there, I'll take one node and through that one node, I'll solve the given problem. Given problem can be in anything. I'll solve the given problem, store its result and use that result for solving the next instance or the next subproblem of an given problem. Here the subproblems represent node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4. So consider the node 1, solve the problem, store it in the table result, use that result for solving the next instance of the given problem, like that. So that is called as a dynamic programming concept, and that is the difference between a divider. Divide means you will be dividing the problem into a smaller instance, and what we are doing after dividing in case of a divide and conquer technique, I'll divide it into a smaller instance, then solve this, solve this, solve this, solve this. All the solutions are combined to get the solution of the whole problem. That is what we are doing it in a dynamic divide and conquer technique. Here I am not solving the individual sub problem. I am not solving this, how you will be doing it in a divide and conquer technique. What I am doing, I am solving this one. The result of this I am using in order to solve the next instance of the sub problem. Again the result of this I am using in order to solve the next sub instance. Again its result I am using in order to solve this next sub problem, like that. Okay. Finally when I will reach to the last sub problem, I will get the solution for an entire sub problem. So there is a difference between a divide and conquer and a dynamic programming concept. That is the difference. And when we will be using a dynamic programming concept is, so suppose if I am having any of the problem where some instance of the problem depends on the smaller instance of the problem, then I'll go for a dynamic programming concept. Getting my point? When I am having some instance of the problem which depends on the solution of the smaller instance of this problem, then I'll go for the dynamic programming concept. And one more way when we will go for this one is, So when I am having a smaller instances where that has to be solved n number of the time. So means that I am having some smaller instance of the problem. I want its result to be used many time. Then that time I will go for a dynamic programming concept, because what we are doing in a dynamic programming technique is, as I told you, I'll take a smaller instance of the problem, solve it, store the result in a table. This table I can use it for n number of a time. No need of computing it again and again. Once if I'll solve any of this problem, I'll keep it in some data structure called as a matrix or a table, whatever it is. So once I'll store it in a table, no need of it recomputing that one. Okay. So that is a concept called as a dynamic programming. And in this dynamic programming, the different problems what you are solving are the Warshall's algorithm, Floyd's algorithm. All these are lab programs. Knapsack problem is there. Floyd's algorithm is also called as a all-pair shortest path problem. Warshall you are having. Then multi-stage graph problem. TSP, traveling salesman problem. So, and Bellman-Ford algorithm. So these are the few problems that you are solving using a dynamic programming concept. So all of you are cleared with the dynamic programming. So how the problem will be solved in case of a dynamic programming. Now I'll start with one problem under this, that is an Warshall's algorithm. It is your lab program. Okay, Warshall's algorithm. What is this Warshall algorithm? This is also called as a transitive closure. Transitive closure. So this Warshall algorithm is used for finding the transitive closure, or we'll say that it is used to find transitive closure or path matrix. It is used to find the transitive closure or a path matrix. So what is a path matrix or what is a transitive closure? All of you know that what is the transitive closure. If there is a path from I to J and J to K, then I'll say that there is a path from I to K. That is called as a transitive closure. If there is a path from I to J or edge from I to J and J to K, then I'll say that there is a path from the I to K. That is called as a transitive closure. Or it is also called as a path matrix. It is used to compute the path matrix. All of you know that what is an adjacency matrix. What is an adjacency matrix? Suppose if I am having like this, something like this. Okay. Write a adjacency matrix for this. So 1 to 1 will be, diagonal elements will be 0. Then 1 to 3 path is there. 1 to 2 there is no edge. And 2 to 1 there is an edge. And 2 to 3 no edge. 3 to 2 edge is there. 3 to 1 there is no edge. So this is called as an adjacency matrix. What is this one called? It is called as an adjacency matrix. So what is an adjacency matrix? In case of an adjacency matrix, A of Ij will be 0 if there is no edge between I and J. Otherwise it will be 1. If there is an edge, I am talking about an edge. If there is an edge between Ij, then entry will be 1. Otherwise the entry will be an 0. That is an adjacency matrix. So what is a path matrix? I'll write the path matrix for this one. So what is a path matrix? So path matrix is a matrix where the entry A of Ij or P of Ij you take. The entry P of Ij will be equal to 0 if there is no path between Ij. Otherwise the entry will be equal to an 1. So then what is the difference between them? What I said here. So here the entry will be an 0 if there is no edge between. If there is no edge between Ij. Here I said the P of Ij will be 0 if there is no path between the I and the J. No edge and path. There is a difference in the edge and the path. Okay. So if I'll take this one diagonal elements will be 0 and 1 to 3 path is there. 1 to 2 also path is there through 3. 1 to 3, 3 to 2. Therefore, this is also 1, whereas that entry will be an 0 in this case. So that is the difference between an adjacency matrix and the path matrix. 2 to 1. 2 to 1 path is there. 2 to 2, 0. 2 to 3. 2 to 3, again through 1 there is a path. And 3 to 1, through 2 there is a path. And 3 to 2 there is a path. So this is the path matrix for the same graph. This is adjacency matrix for the same graph. So got the difference, what is an adjacency matrix and what is an path matrix. This is called as a path matrix. So if there is a path between or through some other nodes also, we are going to consider that one in case of the path matrix. Whereas in case of the adjacency matrix, if there is a direct edge, then only we are going to consider. Otherwise, we are not going to consider. So that is the difference between the path matrix and an adjacency matrix. And this is an Warshall's algorithm. It's very simple algorithm. So initially what I'll do is, initially I'll read the matrix A of ij by using to for loop. This is not a read function, okay? So this is a Warshall algorithm. So go through this input output purpose. It is there in my notes. You go through that one. So after that one, after reading the matrix A of ij, what I am doing, I am directly initializing that one to the P of ij. Means wherever 0 is there, 0 will be copied. Wherever 1 is there, that 1 will be uncopied. Then after that, what you are doing it here, you need to consider the 3 for loops. Then what I have to check here is, if the P of ij is equal to 0, means what? P of ij is equal to 0 means what? There is a no direct edge from I to the j. Then what I have to do? Then I need to check through some other vertex k, there is a path or not. That is P of ik is equal to 1 and P of kj is equal to 1. Then I can say that P of ij is equal to an